Social. Nice to see you. It is Tuesday of your life, May 7th currently. It's always neat when this is like 3 years from now and people are like, oh my gosh, it was May 7th. She has a few more wrinkles. She put on a couple more pounds. I'm just kidding. I'm getting in better shape. I am getting better as I get older. I'm not getting less. I'm getting better. How about you guys? Put yes, right? Claim that. Put yes. I woke up this morning with abs so sore because I started something called EMS. Has anybody heard of that? Have any of you guys heard of that? I started about a month and a half ago. Any of you guys? Okay, so I won't, for you guys who know, you get it, right? So they put this vest on you and these things around your abs and around your arms and around your legs and your butt, and it shocks you when you work out. Literally, you're like, I can't move my arm. And literally it shocks you. But it is such a great workout. It's great for entrepreneurs. You can check it out in your industry or in your state because it's a 20-minute workout. It's a 20-minute workout, and that 20-minute workout is the equivalent to 2 hours in the gym. It's incredible. Like my abs are super tight. Like my body feels amazing. No, I'm not affiliated with this. I just care about you. And I know when I feel good in my body, I do so much better everywhere else. You guys, same thing, yes? Oh, you lose a ton of water weight too? Okay, but Ashley, water weight can go, right? But I'm talking about I got muscle. Like if you were to touch my abs right now, they are like solid hard, like Esteban hard. Esteban, I am rallying you now. But I have an unfair advantage because I'm EMSing. So that sounds like PMSing, EMSing. Okay, let's get on to work, okay? So I chose this topic today because it's a blind spot that I see over and over. I see it with our clients as well. If you're meant to be live or 1%, could you put MML or 1% in the chat? If you're meant to be live or 1%, put MML or 1% in the chat so I know that you're here. I really encourage our clients to be showing up to these lives because yes, I do it for you guys who are on social or on the on-demand mastermind, but my meant to be live clients and my 1% clients are the people that I'm diving into deeply. And it just helps for them to be consuming this content. So here's what I can tell you right now. I believe, and I have very good reason to believe this through many, many meetings, that the future of your business is going to come down to influenced audiences, which is funny because when I started this business, my first year, I made $2,000, believe it or not. I made $2,000 my first year in business. I really don't know how I survived, but somehow you do, right? And so I made $2,000 first year, and I sat back. In fact, meant to be live, you have a pocket coaching I did today that's going out to you Monday, and it's going to rock your world, okay? Because I talk about the fact that when I made $2,000 a year, I didn't sit there and, I mean, yes, I had self-doubt, but my hunger was bigger than my self-doubt. Does that make sense? Like once I got out of corporate America, I felt like nobody would hire me again. Like I actually had more of a fear of trying to get hired again because I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not sure I know how to get a job when I left. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Like this is why I get nervous if somebody tells me they're comfortable and I don't need more. That means you're off your game. And if anything that has taught us in the last few years, you got to stay on your game. It is not good for you to coast. Like maintenance programs, throw them out. Do you know what I mean? Maintenance programs are not the way to live anywhere in your life. You've got to be on your edge, okay? Because life will hit you no matter what. So this is not a motivational talk. This is be smart, okay? So your business is not just about you getting comfy. Okay, it's about you changing the world, and the sooner you get that in your heart and realize that once you get connected with, oh my gosh, I only make $2,000 in a year, like instead of going, ugh, it's like, what's the problem I gotta solve? And what I realized is I had this vision that I was gonna create a membership site, and I was gonna collaborate with all these people, and they were gonna all bring, their content. And somehow I was going to get reoccurring income and I was going to be financially set. I. It was all about me. I didn't want to do it alone. I felt more comfortable doing it with other people. I had self-doubt issues. I had confidence issues. I wanted reoccurring income. It was all about me. I only share this with you because it's a freaking blind spot with people. You need to listen to how you talk. Because for you to build an influence audience, you have to go, okay, I know what I want. I want reoccurring income. I want extra. Okay, now done. And you got to flip to go, okay, so now what is the contribution I'm being to people? Right? And so, look in your life right now. Who's letting you down? Who's letting you down in your life right now? Have you ever thought for a second a different perspective, stood in a different part of the room and looked at the person letting you down, went, is that person a total jerk? If they're now, that doesn't mean you don't feel like somebody's a jerk in a moment, right? But I mean, like, legitimately, are there somebody that you don't want in your life at all? If the answer is no, then I would say that if you want to be a great leader with influence audiences, you have to develop a heart that realizes that when somebody is letting you down, there is an open door for you to step up and help the team win. You got to hear what I'm saying here. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this in a different way. Okay, so if there's somebody in your life right now that's letting you down, I know this like I know this like I know this. It's a step up moment. I have a friend of mine I have two friends, and this is actually coming out in Pocket Coaching next week. But there's two friends. One that literally the CEO founder got sick and the company tanked. And it tanked because nobody in the freaking company stood up. They worked, but nobody stood up and led the crusade. All they kept saying is, it's just not the same without him. And I hear that sometimes in our company. It's just not the same as you. It's just not the same if you're not on the leadership calls. Okay, I get it. I mean, like, I get it. But like, is that what you're going to focus on? Right? Or maybe you shift and you focus on my other friend, who literally the CEO, both CEOs, founders got sick. Okay, my other friend stepped up and used it as an opportunity to lead the way the CEO would have left because she was his right hand. And she developed presidential style skills, and the company grew by 25%. One went under, one grew by 25%. Do you think that either team member that actually, because there's always one that really stands up and leads the crusade? Everybody wants to be the one, but I'm telling you, that opportunity presents itself constantly in your life. It's the people who are letting you down, who actually need you to step up and plug, strategize, do something for the whole so that everybody can rise up. What happens in that moment is you have to think differently. So I'm going to leave that concept there for a second. It's critical. Okay, like, it's critical. You are never gonna, it's funny, I was saying this to somebody today. The higher the income I go, or the greater the abundance of the friends that I'm hanging out with, like the abundance they create, the more messiness and breakdowns there are. You wouldn't think that, right? They got all the people. No, it's like, it's a shitstorm. And you sit there and you're like, wow, when I was getting started, they would have been the people letting me down. And so what happens is there's a breakaway moment where the wealthy stop serving the people who want to become wealthy. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Because they've already done what it's taken to create the influenced audience. And so there's two kind of lessons here. There's the lesson of disappointment. And people are going to do it, period. They're going to disappoint you and you're going to disappoint them. You are definitely not sitting and smelling like roses. I know that because you're human, right? But you justify the moments that you disappoint other people. You justify it, right? Versus realizing it's just you're doing your best and you might need help somewhere, or you might need to re-strategize something. But there's people who disappoint you. And if you act on this with anger, quitting, how do you spell quit? Quitting, blame, or shame, I'm telling you, you're working for the wrong spiritual team. And this ends up in hell, which is called broke. It always does. This is an attitude. It's a perspective. It's one of the things I call leadership, right? Because you're leading a moment of disappointment. Are you going to react or are you going to step up? And step up doesn't mean you kill yourself. Not forever. Step up means you look at the person with compassion. I have a friend called Rex Crane. Anybody know him? He'll tell you, pick an industry that pulls the compassion out of you. A lot of people don't hear that, but I'm hoping I can land that right now so you get it, okay? So the other scenario, pretend I made my $2,000 a year, is I can change the perspective and I can say, what is the problem? And I'm going to solve it. It's not I'm going to try to solve it. I'm going to solve it. Okay, so the way that I solved it is I took responsibility that the vision I had wasn't exactly the vision. Like I didn't think, like if I built this membership site, I need traffic, right? Which is an audience. I call it a list. You need traffic. That didn't dawn on me. What dawned on me is all of my hellish thinking, which is, so independently all about me, right? Disappointment and how I react to disappointment is about my entitlement. It has nothing to do with the perception that somebody I love might need me to come in and strategize, help. It doesn't always have to be you that does it. I always say to my team, Upwork is right there. I pull people into my team all the time to contract and help. Anybody in the company could do that. Do you know what I mean? While running 2 other companies and being a mom and dating my husband, and I'm not superhero, right? So when I take my flex week, I take my flex week. Does that make, because I couldn't do that if I did. I would be a total bitch, and so I have to manage my mind, and so do you, so that I can stay over here in problem solving. So I know this seems like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but you got to own this. It can't make sense. You got to own it on how you take action. Now, how does this affect building an influenced audience? Well, you are constantly seeing what's not working for people. I know you are, because the majority of the world lives over here. And they're triggered and pissed off all the time, and they're so right about it. And what happens is they get angry or frustrated, then they quit, and then they blame, and then they shame, and then they're right back where they were before. I see this in coaching all the time, by the way. I could line up, if I let you in my Slack and I showed you all my testimonials, I could run through them and show you the most incredible thank yous. Like I paid off $50,000 in debt. I paid off $200,000 in debt. I bought my house in 2 weeks and made the down payment. All from the influenced audience, by the way. All of it was from their list or their text message list. Does that make sense? But then they go into amnesia and they start to get pulled into this. And usually it's someone in their life or disappointment that their business isn't growing fast enough, or you get an unexpected bill and you move over to hell. And when you live here, you are not attractive. And what happens is when you see other people's things that are not working, you take this energy and you lead your content with anger, or you lead it with shame. I used to do that all the time. I used to condemn people all the time. I didn't mean to, but I would look at your problems. They would just piss me off. And I would say, I would condemn people all the time. Now, some people could handle that. And they're like, you're freaking right. I can listen to David Goggins. I'm good to go. Let's roll. Right. And other people are I can't handle that. And they would melt. And because I really want to work for heaven, I have really worked on that. Now, I can tell you this has been my process of going, okay, if somebody's letting me down, it's I just had somebody, a hugely influential person, break plans with me. And I moved stuff. I moved stuff with my son to be on a call with this woman. And her assistant calls me, is sorry, she's going to have to reschedule again. And yes, I was disappointed. And then I was a little bit F you. I moved something with my son. And then I quickly moved out of that because I noticed I was judging her. I was like, I moved stuff. So the minute you start giving too much, like I moved something with my son, you start feeling entitled that you're owed something. Okay, let me be very clear with you. You are not owed something, and you don't owe somebody else something. The fact that you do what you do in your business is a blessing to the people who buy from you. And some of you guys are going to become really wealthy. You know who you are, because when I say it, you can feel it. If you can feel this in your stomach, put me. You know that you are going to break through financially and you will be rich. You either are seeing signs of it now, or your energy is increasing and you know that the conviction is getting stronger. You're starting to give up the thoughts of anger and you're like, whatever, I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm done. Whatever it takes, I'm coachable. I'm willing to do it, right? You need to know that when that happens, you skyrocket. But it's also because what you do is you take that energy into your messaging. Does that make sense? Like the way you are feeling and being behind closed doors, the way you're thinking about other people behind closed doors affect your problem solving skills. Does that make sense? Put yes if it does. So when I look at this, and I wrote this down, I want to make sure that I don't miss this for you guys, is that, okay, so in all, what this looks like is, and some of you guys are clients of mine, and so you know this, but you might be having amnesia. Okay, so don't put your marketing in the wrong order. So the wrong order looks like this, and I wrote this down. So the wrong order is you think you need to figure out your messaging before you can actually figure out your movement, right? That's not true. Your messaging comes from your client base. It comes from your audience. The more you build an influenced audience, AKA a list, text message list, whatever, the more you get smart on what you're seeing other people need. Like there's no way around that. You cannot guess. You know what I mean? Like, so just by default, if you stood in a room of 300 people and you stood in a room of 1,000 people, do you not think the 1,000 people you're going to get an even bigger global shot of what's happening if you asked a question? Yes. So now think, you're out there working and you're like, nobody's buying. Well, what's wrong? Right? Nobody's buying. You just ask them. So if you don't have a list first, and I see this constantly. Do you know how many clients I have that we've taught how to build lists and they stop building lists and they keep telling me, Shanna, the problem is the only people who are here are already my clients. I'm like, so freaking solve the problem. You know how to solve the problem, but I don't like doing that. Then think. I don't know what to tell you. Then think. You know what I mean? Do you guys get it? Can you hear me? It's unbelievable. Do you guys remember when you didn't know what to do? Or maybe you're in that moment right now. You're like, if somebody would just tell me what to do, I would do it. And then some of you guys know what to do and you're still not doing it, or you did it a couple times. And then you're like, oh my gosh, the problem is it's just all people have already bought from me before. All people have seen my offer before. So go build. It only takes 45 to 60 days to build a list. What do you want to go pass through the summer and still have the problem of no buyers or not enough buyers? Or if you have a list and nobody's buying, ask them. Don't try to put the most amazing marketing message to you. Just like, hey, I've been sending out messages and nobody seems to be engaging with them. I'm curious what's going on in your life right now, in your relationship, if I was a relationship person, or in your fitness, if I was a fitness person. Like, stop trying to do it the egotistical, entitled way. Just because some of you guys know what you've been doing for a long time, maybe you're a fitness expert or a trauma expert, or I don't know, you're great at real estate, whatever it is that you do, I'm telling you, you're selling an emotion, not a product. And y'all keep missing this, and it drives me crazy because I'm sitting there going, I almost want to stop doing content because I'm like, is anybody listening? Right? Is this helping when I go live? Are you actually taking action, or am I just kind of entertainment for a little bit, like during the day? And it makes you feel better like journaling does. Journaling makes me feel amazing. I feel like I could tackle the entire world. Get me on an airplane and I just write all the business plans all over again. Like, I feel good. I'm like, honey, I'm clear. I'm ready to go. Right. And then it's like, then you don't go. Right. That doesn't work. When you're ready to go, you deploy and you have somebody else on the other side. So when we teach list building, we teach something called the reporter model. And this reporter model, some of you guys already know this, right? But this reporter model, I'm going to tell you what I do with this. This reporter model, I interview usually 21 people and around a certain topic that I feel is really pressing with this time. Can I tell you one of my biggest mistakes has been? One of my biggest mistakes has not being bold enough. Right? That's been one of my biggest mistakes. I know many of you guys think I'm really bold, but trust me, I'm a scared little chicken behind closed doors. It takes everything for me to be honest. The only reason why I can be so blunt about things is because I neutralize the space where I'm like, listen, if you're a Catholic and I'm a Christian, you're an atheist, or you're into the universe and I'm into God. Like, if you notice, I always neutralize the space because I want everybody to feel welcome at hardcore. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's my heart, right? But I believe that I'm right about being a Christian. I believe it's the way to heaven. You know what I mean? But I believe that there's enough space in the world that we could all believe what we want to believe. And I think that's what makes dinner interesting. Like, I really believe that. Like, could you imagine sitting around a table and like nobody had an opinion anymore? Like, think about that for a second. That's what we're trying to do in the world. Right? Like, we are literally trying to talk about cancel culture like it's out of control. It's like people can't be friends with each other if one's Republican and one's Democratic. I just sit there and go, holy cow, you guys, like, this is how immature we've gotten, that we have to be so triggered and so right. No wonder more people are going broke, because it's the mindset of hell, not the mindset of heaven. Does that make sense? But like, if you, it's like Grant Cardone, I watched him explode because he said, if you have not been vaccinated, come work for me. Whether you like that or not, do you not think that got him a ton of attention? Yeah. A ton of attention. You know, some of you guys think that people are marketing, like Billie Jean. Does anybody know Billie Jean, my friend Billie Jean? Billie cracks me up. If you don't watch Billie on Instagram, you really should. You know why he cracks me up? Because he'll make a comment and a bunch of people who know him, which is a lot of people, are like, you're a rock star, dude. And then you get these haters that come on, and then he sits there and they're like, I can't believe you'd post that. He's like, well, look at how many comments I have. Do you know what I mean? And those algorithms are pushing his products and services, and he's going, what do you think the Star or CNN or Fox or the Young and the Restless soap opera does? They're pulling an influenced audience. So I want to give you kind of a shake today. And I want to tell you that if you're someone who's playing it safe is you're selling intellect. Write that down. You'll know you're selling intellect because you feel like you need to be good enough. You feel like you need to explain it more. You feel like you need to convince somebody about it. It's intellect. And you will never win on intellect. Okay? Don't get me going on AI. But forget AI. You never won on intellect before. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you won. The times that you've won in your life, you have won because of compassion. And the compassion that's pulled out of you to either say what needs to be said in the moment, or love the way that somebody needs to be loved in the moment, or disrupt somebody if they're going in their pattern, right? Whatever, the minute you gave up your own preservation to help somebody else, you put yourself in a position that you could build a massive influenced audience. You guys who are in Mentor Me Live, and I'm not making an offer for Mentor Me Live, any of that. Mentor Me Live in 1%. We're going to show you how to build the biggest influenced audience you've ever done. It's not with summits, at your mastermind in Puerto Rico. right? I can't replicate it. You got to be in the room, right? And I've got a friend coming who's going to spend 2 hours, and then we're going to take a lunch break so you can swarm him. And you're actually going to do the work. Why? Because I'm designing content to take care of my tribe. Because if people don't have influenced audiences, then you're put yourself in a position that you are content. And if you think your content or your product is going to pass the test over the next couple of years to stay in business, I hate to tell you, but you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. It just won't. Okay, people are going to be faster, they're going to be stronger, they're going to be with AI. All of our content is, I mean, I love the fact that everybody thinks your intellectual content is so intellectual. No, it's not. You're only as good as your next pivot. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're only as good as your next pivot. And that pivot is coming fast. And so if I can get you guys to focus on building first our clients, we teach you how to build a list. Now, which is an influenced audience? But we're going to show you how to build a rapid one at the mastermind. If you're not coming to our mastermind, then at the very least, I really recommend you go to retiremeshanda.com. Somebody put that in the chat. retiremeshanda.com. And you should come to May 15th, 16th, and 17th and let me show you how to build a list and a text message list of buyers that have you start with an influenced audience. If you're already Mentor Me Live, I want you to consider how many of those list builds you're doing this year. Because don't be the person that walks up to me and tells me in our masterminds, well, I have like only my customers and clients like showing up. You know, I'm going to take you, I'm going to wrestle you to the ground. Just kidding, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be like, so then drown. If you want to drown, get off the lifeboat because I'm going to shore, right? I'm going to paradise. And I'd like you to come with me. But you have to be able to do the work. Once I've taught you how to fish, you got to keep fishing. And we're going to rapidly expand those audiences at the mastermind. If you're someone who does not have a list, let's do a check-in point. How many of you guys have an email list or a text message list of 10,000 or more? Put yes or no in the chat. 10,000 or more. 10,000 or more. Put a yes or no in the chat. 10,000 or more. Esteban, that's not okay. Okay, like that's not okay. Right? Get out of busy weeds and get into what works. Okay, I got Mentor Me Live call in 30 minutes from now. I'm going to show you guys the very simple approach that I did to be able to create $1 million year. And just so you know, very few people hit $1 million, but more people don't hit it again. Once I hit $1 million, I never went back. I've never slid back under $1 million. Is not happening, right? It's so easy to get to $1 million, and it's so easy to keep going past it. If you can stay out of the weeds of emotions, which is why I say manage your mind all the time. But if you don't build these lists, it doesn't matter what you do, how good your content is, you will be broke. You just will. I don't know anybody, I don't have one friend, not one, that has made money online without lists. Not one. Not one that teaches social media. Not one. You know how many people will actually repost yourself on social media? Why do they not want to send out to their email lists and promote you and endorse you? Because that's their bread and butter. That's where they make their money. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Oh, Joanne, you signed up this morning. Super smart. Okay, so next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll teach that workshop. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up for social right now. Now, I make sure that you get this, okay? Write these 3 words down. Build, monetize, grow. Build, monetize, grow. Build, monetize, grow. Okay, build is this list. The number that goes up in this list will directly equate to how much money you make, okay? So the industry standard would be about $1 per subscriber. So if I had, per month, by the way. Now, my clients typically do $2 to $3 a subscriber, typically. Okay, so if you have a list of 2,000 people, then you should be making $2,000 a month reoccurring. Or you should be making $6,000 a month reoccurring. Do you see what I'm saying? Say yes if you do. That is industry standards. Okay, there's no, you're a superstar anywhere. That's just what should happen. So you can now understand the success metrics of, if you focus on your list, you can start banking on the fact that those subscriber bases should equal X. Does that make sense? So now it gives you some safety, because most people just work and they're not working off a scorecard. I taught scorecards the end of last year on this on demand. So many people don't show up and they don't come, right? It's like I taught scorecards and I gave you 5 metrics on a scorecard. You can go find it probably on my Facebook page, right? But you need to understand the metric of money, and it's connected to your audience. So I'm going to end on social, and I'm going to go to my on-demand mastermind and jump in with you guys. So I got about 20 minutes before I jump over to our mastermind clients. But you guys on social, like I'm telling you, don't get caught in the weeds of winning the game of, like, don't try and be a celebrity. Be smart and build an influence group, an influenced audience. I don't mean just on social media. I mean in your list. Everybody that we teach in our communities, even if we're teaching a social strategy, like the rapid expansion one we're going to teach at their mastermind, we will be pulling people into a list. And the reason why is your list is your asset. It's like owning a home versus renting a home. It's very, very different in the compound effect of success, right? And so you don't want to just grow on social media, because the challenge is you don't own it. You are renting it. And at any given time, you can be shut off it, taken off it, algorithms can change. You want to have an asset, and you want to have an asset that you own, okay? And so if you just hear nothing else from me this year, but to double, triple, quadruple down on your audience, you're going to be in a position, whether or not you are good at selling your own product or not, you could sell somebody else's product and attach yourself to a bigger fish. And I think that's really important, because, you know, when you work with some of these bigger fishes, you can make great money working with them. And you also create great friendships if you promote them. Does that make sense, you guys? And that's the power of proximity. The majority of my friends came from doing the reporter model. And I interviewed 21 people around a topic that was pressing in the time. And my intention was always to pull out 2 or 3 really good friends that I could build in life with. And that's how I built my network in the coaching industry. Of course, it's compounded from them. As I've gone to masterminds, I've met other people in masterminds, and I've continued to compound. As I've earned more income, I've moved to bigger masterminds, stronger masterminds, the ones that make sense. And I started putting down these crazy amounts of money to go to these masterminds. Now the crazy amount of money is spent in Puerto Rico for the community that I live in, versus a direct mastermind in this moment, because we're creating that right here in Dorado Beach. But I definitely pay for it. Does that make sense? So the more income that I've made, the more neighborhoods, or the more tables I've gotten to. And so I'll end on this and say, don't be too smart that you cut off successful people in your life because you get triggered. It's not a good move, because the thing that you want, as things kind of go into the new world order, into the new world, as this shift happens in the world right now, you want friends that get up off the floor and take care of people. And those are the friends that you have that already have money. They just are, because you don't get the value of money. You don't get the stewardship of money until you can handle pressure. Do you get it? Yes? And so you want to surround yourself with people like that, because those are the people that are going to help pull you up. Some of you guys are so busy helping other people that with love don't even appreciate you and would not do the same thing back. And you're martyrous because of it. And I'm telling you, just stop for a minute and realize you can build anything in the next 30, 60, 90 days and completely transform everything. But you got to be intentional. You got it? Okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow. I'll be streaming live all week and part of next week, and then I'll be going into the retiremeshanda.com group for 3 days and showing them how to build these influence audience. Okay? All right, social media. Peace out.